Hello, dear listeners. I hope you are having a great time wherever you are. Today's story concerns the disappearance of £30 million from the Bank of England. Where, who, how this vast amount of money has disappeared has caught the attention of Sherlock Holmes and the young detectives. So, without any further ado, let's dive into the story. Sherlock Holmes and the Young Detectives, The Disappearance by Ngamoko Nikora. It was a blustery autumn afternoon in London. Baker Street bustled with the familiar sounds of carriages clattering and pedestrians chatting. Inside 221B Baker Street, a sense of urgency hung in the air, reminiscent of the crisp weather outside. Sherlock Holmes, clad in his customary suit, leaned over a cluttered table, meticulously examining a series of documents scattered before him. Dr. John Watson, his loyal companion, stood by the window, observing the lively scene. Suddenly, the door burst open, revealing the young detectives, Tom, Mark, Tipo, and B, rushing into the room, their faces alight with excitement. "Mr. Holmes! Mr. Holmes!" Tom exclaimed, nearly tripping over a chair. "We've heard the news." "Yes, I assume you're referring to the £30 million that has mysteriously disappeared from the Bank of England," Holmes replied, straightening his posture. "It seems word travels fast in our illustrious city. What happened? Who could possibly steal such a vast amount of money?" Mark asked, his voice a mixture of astonishment and curiosity. Tipo, adjusting his glasses, chimed in. "Not just any thief would dare target the Bank of England. There must be some explanation beyond simple robbery." Holmes arched an eyebrow, his interest piqued. "Indeed, gentlemen, it is essential for us to unravel the mystery of this theft, for the implications are enormous. If we do not act swiftly, it may cause turmoil in the financial world." B, particularly perceptive, leaned in. "But how could someone manage to steal it without anyone noticing? The bank is heavily guarded." Holmes nodded thoughtfully. "That, my young detectives, is where our investigation begins. Let us gather the information available and prepare for a visit to the scene of the crime." The young detectives, accompanied by Holmes, arrived outside the grandeur of the Bank of England. The towering structure stood as a monument to financial security, but now its reputation was tarnished. Policemen were stationed outside, barring entry to journalists and curious onlookers alike. "Stay close," Holmes instructed as they made their way to the entrance, confidently displaying his identification. "We must speak to the bank's director and gather pertinent details." Once inside, they were met by Mr. Collins, the bank's sombre director. He ushered them into a conference room where the tension was palpable. "Mr. Holmes," he began, nervously adjusting his spectacles, "the situation is dire. £30 million was stolen from the vaults in the early hours of the morning. We are simply at a loss for how this could have occurred. "Tell us everything you know," Holmes urged, his penetrating gaze fixed on Collins. "We discovered the theft at approximately 7 this morning. The vault was sealed overnight, and only a select few had access during that time. Our security system remained intact," Collins explained, his voice trembling slightly. "The money was set to be moved to a secure facility for long-term investment, but it simply vanished without a trace." "Who had access to the vault?" Tom asked, taking notes. "Only myself, the head of security, Mr. Hughes, and 3 employees, all of whom are under investigation," Collins replied. "The security footage shows no one entering the vaults." B interjected. "What about the employees? Did they notice anything unusual?" "We've already interviewed them," Collins continued, running a hand through his hair, "but their answers have only muddied the waters. They insist nothing was amiss, and each has an alibi for last night." Holmes pondered this for a moment. "I would like to view the security footage myself. If there's any possibility it could hold the key to this mystery, we must scrutinize it." The group followed Mr. Collins to the vault room, where rows of massive iron doors lined the walls. A large monitor displayed the surveillance footage from the previous night. Holmes leaned forward, studying the screen intently as the camera recorded the comings and goings of the staff. Mark, Tom, and Tipo squeezed beside him, eager to catch a glimpse of the unfolding video. "Here," Holmes pointed as the footage displayed the clock striking midnight. "Watch carefully." The 4 young detectives focused on the screen, watching as the employees finished their duties and exited the vault room one by one. "It all looks ordinary," Mark noted, disappointment creeping into his voice. "Not yet," Holmes replied, narrowing his eyes. "Patience, my young friend." Moments later, the monitor flickered, and the timestamp indicated 2 a.m. An unexpected shadow flickered momentarily on the screen, an anomaly not aligned with any current employees. "Did you see that?" Tipo exclaimed. The others nodded, their interest rekindled. "I suspect that may be our lead," Holmes stated firmly. "We need to enhance the footage and identify who or what that shadow belongs to." Collins adjusted his glasses nervously. "Would you like us to continue our investigation?" "Yes, Mr. Collins. This is a vital clue. We need to discover who this figure is," Holmes commanded. "Please gather all available staff for further questioning." As they waited for the bank staff to arrive, Holmes began to formulate a theory. "It is evident that someone within the bank likely orchestrated this theft, with inside knowledge and likely an accomplice," he mused aloud. Tipo frowned in thought. "That means one of the employees could be involved or possibly even Mr. Collins. Before Holmes could respond, the bank staff members, Hughes, a burly man with an air of authority, along with 3 employees, Mary, Joanna, and Aaron, entered the room, looking anxious and bewildered. "Thank you for coming," Holmes began, slipping into a more formal tone. "We have some follow-up questions. Please recount your whereabouts during the night the money went missing." Hughes cleared his throat. "I was monitoring the security cameras late in the evening until I finished my shift at 10 p.m. The rest of the night was uneventful, I assure you." "Is that so?" Holmes countered. "Mary, what do you have to say?" Mary glanced nervously at her colleagues. "I went home around 9 p.m. and was with my family. I was at home the entire night." Joanna added, "I completed my work and left by 10 p.m. as well. We all kept to our duties." Aaron, the youngest member of the team, spoke up next. "I stayed late to finish my reports and left shortly after everyone else. I can corroborate their stories." Holmes observed them intently. "What time did you leave exactly?" "Right after Hughes," Aaron replied, his voice trembling. Holmes raised an eyebrow. "And the security footage shows you leaving just before 10 p.m. May I ask why you decided to stay later than usual?" "Hughes wanted me to check an error in the system," Aaron stammered. There was an irregularity with the transaction logs." "Interesting," Holmes nodded. "And Hughes, how did you find the error?" "I work on the logs," Hughes asserted defensively. "It's my job." Holmes didn't miss the tension in the room. "We need to review the logs next. They may tell us more." Holmes instructed the bank employees to remain in the drawing room while he and the young detectives analysed the transaction logs in the adjacent office. The room was cluttered with bankers' boxes filled with documents and notes. "Look here," Teapot said suddenly, pointing to a sharp discrepancy on the screen. "There seems to be a higher number of transactions than usual for the day prior to the theft." "Indeed," Holmes agreed, peering over Teapot's shoulder. "Several large transactions were made just before the 20 million went missing." "Is this some sort of diversion?" Tom wondered aloud. "Or perhaps a means to conceal the theft," said Holmes. "But if we are to catch the thief, we need to connect the dots." As they scrutinized the logs, they noticed an unusual pattern. Multiple large transfers initiated just before the end of business hours. "This is illuminating," Holmes remarked, contemplating. "If the person behind this can manipulate the logs, it implies insider knowledge." "Collins!" Mark exclaimed. "Exactly," Holmes concluded. "This trail leads back to the bank's director himself. Let's compare the logs with the security footage when we return." Moments later, as they returned to the conference room, a strange sound reverberated through the air. An alarm. Collins burst through the door, panic etched into his features. "What happened?" Holmes demanded. "The vault! It's been breached!" Collins declared urgently. "We need to investigate now." Upon reaching the vault, the sight was chaotic. Security personnel scrambled, preparing to secure the area, but the reality of the situation was apparent. The vault door stood ajar, but no one was inside. "Where's the head of security?" Holmes inquired as they examined the scene. "Still inside the control room," one officer replied, breathless from the commotion. "We've locked guards at every exit." Huddled around the monitor once more, Holmes scanned through the footage of the incident. It showed a shadowy figure sneaking past security toward the vault's entrance. "We may have our prime suspect," Holmes remarked, fast forwarding to the moment of the breach. Then a face momentarily flickered on the screen. A man's face, masked by shadows but familiar. Holmes' brow creased. "Who's that?" Mark asked, leaning closer. "Wait!" Holmes whispered as he slowed the footage again. "That's Aaron. He's the one who stayed late." "What?" exclaimed Tom. "I can't believe it. But why would he do such a thing?" "Desperation breeds deception," Holmes stated grimly. "It appears he has incriminated himself. We must confront him." The young detectives rushed through the building, shouting for Aaron. They finally found him attempting to escape through the back entrance. "Aaron!" Holmes called as they blocked his path. "What do you want?" Aaron shouted back defensively. "We know it was you," Tom accused, stepping forward. "You think you can get away with this?" The panic in Aaron's eyes flickered towards desperation. I didn't mean to. It wasn't supposed to happen this way." "Then tell us everything," Holmes urged, moving closer. "Who was behind this? Are you part of a larger conspiracy?" "I didn't want to do it. Collins convinced me," Aaron cried, his voice breaking. "He said the bank would collapse and we needed to find a way to secure our futures." Holmes's gaze sharpened, connecting the puzzle pieces sliding into place. "Collins lured you into aiding him?" "Yes. He told me to create a distraction, to shift the blame, and he guaranteed my safety," Aaron sobbed, tears brimming in his eyes. "Why involve ourselves in such corruption?" the people asked. "There had to be another way." "I was afraid. I needed money for my mother's surgery. I'd do anything for her," Aaron pleaded. "I never took the money, I swear." "Yet you've become a pawn, haven't you?" Holmes replied. "We need to return to Collins. He has manipulated you." They rushed back to the drawing room and confronted Collins, who paced nervously as they entered. "What's going on now? Why is everyone in a frenzy?" "Were you aware that your employee is accused of attempting to steal from the vault?" Holmes demanded. Aaron revealed everything. Collins scoffed, dismissing the idea. "It's absurd. The boy is incompetent and doesn't know his obligations." "But you do," Holmes pressed, that tension in the air thickening. "Let's talk about the transactions and the alibis." Collins grew more agitated. "I say he's lying. You won't find a shred of proof. I won't have my reputation tarnished by an incompetent child." "Yet here's a question," B interjected. "How did you know Aaron stayed late? It seems implausible that you would be aware of his whereabouts." "That's easy. I keep tabs on my employees," Collins snapped. deflecting the inquiry, but his defensiveness betrayed his guilt. Or perhaps you orchestrated this, Holmes countered. You set Aaron as a pawn to shift the blame. With that accusation hanging in the air, Collins's composure began to unravel. You think you're so clever, Holmes, but you have no evidence, only shadows. Not for long, Holmes declared. You've hidden behind your privilege for too long. We'll retrieve the evidence. The detectives rejoined Collins, cornering him as they sought further proof. They led him back to the security logs, with every deliberate interaction weighing down the room. Look at the records. They've all been updated, shouted Tom, examining the time stamps. There are irregularities. Suddenly, Teapot exclaimed as he scrolled through digital files. Here, transfers of money were appended under false accounts. Whoever manipulated these logs is the one responsible. Collins faltered, his confidence dwindling. You're not serious. Oh, but I am, Holmes replied, listing the evidence they had gathered. You've mismanaged countless transactions, and worse, you've used Aaron as a scapegoat. Collins's face drained of colour. You fool, this isn't over. There are others involved, powerful figures who won't let you get away. Let us not make threats, Mr. Collins, Holmes countered, his voice unwavering. You will be reported to the authorities, and any accomplices you possess will be discovered. Collins, trembling, dropped his gaze. You don't understand what you're facing. This is more significant than you could ever imagine. Then we'll soon find out, Holmes declared, moving to dial in a call to the authorities. B, Tom, and Mark stood beside him, resolute in their dedication to uncovering the truth. Within hours, the Bank of England's incident was making headlines across London, uncovering serious financial misconduct and the theft of £30 million. Collins faced the consequences of his actions and confronted a web of deceit involving prominent players. The young detectives gathered in Baker Street, reflecting on the turbulent events. We did it, Mark proclaimed, a victorious smile on his face. But what a twist! Such corruption! Holmes offered them a rare smile. Indeed, your diligence and attention to detail proved invaluable. London can seem chaotic, yet it thrives on worthy minds willing to seek justice. Teapot grinned, and we helped uncover it. I must say it was a rather thrilling case, B added, a spark of enthusiasm in her voice. The others nodded in agreement, excitement bubbling beneath their achievements. Now, what mystery shall we tackle next? Tom asked eagerly. Holmes chuckled, leaning back in his chair. There is always a case to pursue, my young detectives. Until then, we must continue to sharpen our minds and prepare for what lies ahead. And so, within the cosy confines of 221B Baker Street, they shared laughter and tales of their adventure, all while the streets of London pulsed with the secrets waiting to be uncovered. Sherlock Holmes and the Young Detectives, The Disappearance by Ngamoko Nikora. Copyright Ngamoko Nikora.